Okay, sorry for that. So, like from past 6 months, we are right now moving into more into agentic product building, and we have explored enough frameworks, tried things, and so I'm here today to present some of our learnings, and we'll be deep diving into one of the tools that we extensively use at Flightbase. So, to gather some information about the audience, I have a few questions so we can better engage during the session. So first, I would like to ask you guys, like, how many of do you know exact meaning of the agent? Not like something. Today we call everything as a agent. Like it's becoming. किसी भी नोडल को मैगी बोलते हो तो उस टाइप का हो रहा है. But like actual meaning of agent. So can I get a raise of hands? Yes. The one who knows the agent definition, or may I work with? Great.
Can take care of work for us.
Yeah, fine. That's the shorter definition. Okay, cool, cool. Another question is, how many of you have worked with the like actual agent builder tools? Okay, and what? Can we get the mic? Another mic? Yeah. And can you name some of them?
Sure. I have used N8N and Lead.
Okay.
N8N major.
Okay. You guys?
I have used N8N, LangFlow, and
Good. Great. We are today going to deep dive into LangFlow, so you guys will enjoy. Cool. So we will begin our session. You guys can settle in. Great. So the session agenda is kind of in front of you. So don't worry, I will not bore you with a lot of content. We'll be doing a lot of hands-on. So we will just have a quick understanding of the things so that we can do better hands-on things. So first of all, we will understand the basic difference of agent versus workflow, because as I said, nowadays we call everything as agent, but every system is not an agentic system. Then we'll see why frameworks are used over the raw LLMs. Like I'll discuss in detail about this point. Then we will see the different agent builder tools which are visually supported, like no code, low code, and then we will go to the frameworks as well. High overview of which frameworks to use when. Then we will be taking some comparison of the visual versus the actual frameworks and which to choose when. Then the star of the show comes, that is LangFlow. Then we will deep dive into the LangFlow, understand how LangFlow works, why we choose LangFlow, and how we are building with it. Then we will go to the hands-on labs. We have 2 problem statements that you guys will be working upon. So let's see how time permits and how much we are able to cover up, and then we can have a Q&A and closing. So this is kind of a high-level agenda. So we have a lot of things. So keep your energy up. Moving forward. So as I said, the basic we need to know the basic difference of agent versus workflow before we move into building something which we call as an agentic system. So if you can see in a diagram, like I have tried to portray in a pictorial, so it can be understood better. So agent, what you have is an autonomous. So there is one good definition that I remember from one of the MongoDB developers. So he coined for agent in one of his podcasts. So agent is an entity which perceives from its inputs, then it reasons with the help of memory and an LLM node, and in act with the help of its tools. So it's an autonomous entity which, like, it's like a human like us, who can perceive the environment, take the inputs, understand it, reason, and do some activity upon it. So this is what the classical definition of agent, but I don't know how many of you remembered what I said. But it's okay, fine. So it's an autonomous entity which have an LLM, which today we use like a ChatGPT, Anthropic, or Grok, whatever you guys are familiar with. Then it has some sort of memory, like how do we perceive previous data, and then it has some tools to take an actions. So like as we are having hands, we do some things with hands. So similarly, while if you go into workflow, it is a sequence of deterministic steps. So like a classical software 1.0 where we do like we receive an API call, then we do some processing, then we do database update, and then we send a message to or email to someone. So this is an deterministic flow which has some input, then some processing logic, some action with the predefined steps, and generation and output. But it is fixed. So even if you have an email tool, which is like email function, which is sending an email, it will be always called by some hard-coded function from your code. So it is never going to like this time I'm calling Gmail, next time I'm calling Microsoft Outlook, so this is not going to happen.
What if it has LLM calls?
Please.
If the workflow has LLM calls, will that become agent?
Good question. So that's why I got this difference on the first hand. So nowadays what is happening is, so this is, okay, wait. This is classic 1.0 workflow, but now what is happening is this processing logic, it's been replaced by an LLM node. But then it becomes an agentic workflow, but it doesn't become an agent, because until this node is just a raw LLM. You give some input like a text, image, or a video, that is data, and you get some form of output. And behind the scene, if you see, what is that? It's a raw model sitting on the cloud, and you are making an API call, and you are calling it as an LLM node. So it doesn't actually have the ability of taking actions, memory. Then it's a simple agentic workflow. But when you go to like LLM is the one node that we borrowed here, then we have a memory and we have tools, and now it has an autonomous reasoning that it can use whatever tool according to the use case. So that's where there is a difference comes between even an agentic workflow and an agentic systems. So I hope it's clear now. If anyone has doubts, please raise your hands. Cool, I think it's clear. So great. Moving ahead, as I said, like there is a raw LLM. Like today, as we interact with a Claude, ChatGPT, or Grok, that you in a cloud environment. So they are kind of in raw LLM sitting, and the chat interface is making just an API call to and fro, and maintaining a session history of your chat only. It doesn't have the outside history like your organization knowledge or something else that it doesn't perceive. So building such systems, like you may ask me why to choose a framework, Mahesh, if there is a raw LLM setting and I can make an API call with the SDK, that is the software development kit of any provider that they provide, like ChatGPT has, OpenAI has its own, Anthropic has its own. So why to choose another framework and add an extra layer for building this like applications within agentic systems? So there are a couple of benefits. I will go by an analogy, you'll understand better. So how we today, like if you build front-end applications, previously we used to build using raw HTML, CSS, and JS, and today by default we use React, Angular, such frameworks. And the reason is same here as well. You can consider your raw LLMs as HTML, CSS, and JS, of course, and now React is your the frameworks that we'll be discussing, which are used to build LLM agentic applications. So I will highlight key benefits. So first one is the abstraction layer and orchestration that the framework brings in. So let's say today you are developing some agentic application, and today you are going to depend upon OpenAI's SDK or Anthropic SDK, and then you are tied. Like once you build your whole system, then you can't change the LLM, just you can change the model of the provider itself, but you can't switch the provider. And there you need some kind of abstraction. So make sure that whatever system you have built, it's like preserved, and you don't need to modify if new provider is gonna come into market and he's gonna boom. Like Kimi recently came, and Kimi showed a significant amount of improvements similar to the Anthropic. Then now you want to switch to Kimi, like how you will be switching, because you have already built a lot of system components which were dependent upon Anthropic. So the orchestration and the abstraction is the great benefit of frameworks. Then comes the customization. So like if you are using raw frameworks, then you need to tailor everything inside that pipeline, right from your input processing. Then if you are using some RAG pipelines, you need to build your own parsers, chunkers. We'll discuss that terminology later. It might be jargon, so just bear with me. So such sort of all the processing logic that you need to build by your own, it's been handled by the frameworks that are available in the market. Then comes the observability part. So like some agent is doing something, but you want to ensure that it is doing correctly, because at the end of the day, he is going to choose the tool that the agent will be using according to the use case, but you need to verify the evals, like whether it has done the job correctly, it has called the tools the time you wanted. So that's why the observability comes into picture. And if you go via raw approach, like just picking an LLM and integrating your own stack, then you need to take care of a lot of observability things, which are already taken care by the providers that we will discuss during the session. Then of course the integrations, you get a lot of other integrations right from your email till your social media platforms and so on and so forth, like storage buckets and so many things pre-built into those frameworks, so you don't need to build integrations by yourself. Of course, reliability and the productivity, because these frameworks are being battle tested and open source by a lot of developers. Instead, you building your own stack and making sure that that stack always works. So these are the few reasons that we need frameworks on top of raw LLMs to build agentic systems, reliable, fast, and efficient. So a lot of technical knowledge. Let's move towards the actual session content now. So as I said, we are categorized the agent builder tools into two categories. One are visual agent building tools, and another is the frameworks that we use actually write a source code to build something. So as some of guys you said, like, you know, we have worked with N8N Make, and some of you also said LangFlow. Great. So I have chosen some of the popular ones out here, and which to one use, we will go to that. So in Visual Agent Builder, what they provide as a functionality, they provide you some sort of blocks, like that what I was discussing, like you will have a LLM node, then you will have a processing node, and all those logic has been built by them, and they provide you like a visual element sort of a box which you can connect, like they provide 100 box and you connect them to form some sort of application that you want to derive. So this is the basic use case of visual, like what they provide as a functionality. Like now there are different players in the market. So N8N is the most popular player that you might have heard easily, and it has crossed 130K on the GitHub. So great tool going. So what it does provide is an open source platform for an LLM workflow automation. So it is popular by its integration. So it has around 500 plus integrations, like right from your Gmail, social media, your platforms, buckets, everything you need to integrate with third-party systems. It has that functionality. Then there is Make and Zapier, which were kind of an classical 1.0 workflow systems. Like Zapier is in existence from lot of like previous decades, and it is a great player in the market. Now they are transitioning to integrate the LLM nodes into their workflows, so that your normal workflow, like previously you used to have some website where some user signs up and fill the form, and then you pass it to some for a lead generation or something. Such simple workflows now can transition and add a LLM node into them. So this is how Zapier is transitioning into this space. Now we have actual agent builders. So why I'm calling actual, I'll get to that. There is a Flowise and a LangFlow. These two are also an open source framework to build a visual agents. But what they provide extra functionality is the customizability. Like if you go with an N8N, like as I said, they have 500 plus tools. You can use only 500 plus tools. If you want to build your own, then you need to fork, you need to do a lot of, like you need to write custom nodes from your Docker. Like if you are using Docker deployment, then you need to write your custom nodes and take care of them. But that is not appealing as customizability within a UI. You can't do anything in the UI, you have to do all of things in the backend. And it is less developer friendly, I would say, like with my experience till now. It's great, it has a lot of integrations, but customizability is still lacking there. They are working on it. As I said, they brought custom nodes, but it's still in work in progress. So the LangFlow and the Flowise has that ability as the first function. They are built from a developer first perspective, like every node, every functionality is editable by you within UI, and it's built for debug. And it has a lot of deployment options that N8N does lack in. So every flow, we'll go in deeper when we deep dive into LangFlow. So these were the visual agentic builder. If you want to take a snapshot, you are allowed to. So in your experience, like what is the difference between a Flowise and a LangFlow? Sure. So as I said, they are on the similar functionality, like integrations plus customization. One thing that LangFlow performs better on top of Flowise is Flowise has less number of custom nodes today, and like if you go to the LangFlow is built on top of a LangChain, which is an open source framework for building agent application. Plus, what differentiate LangFlow is LangFlow does offer you other agentic framework, like it has CrewAI components. They are going to support AutoGen, and like it's becoming something which can sit on top of every other source code frameworks, and that is something lacking in the Flowwise because they have targeted just LangChain, and every component that you see is built up on top of LangChain only. So that will make a LangFlow as a key differentiator going in future because supporting multi-frameworks under the knee. Then, as I said, these are the actual base foundational frameworks which we need to write. Like, if we want to build an agent into them, we need to write something like an SDK integration into our source codes. Please. Okay.
Even on N8N, there are no community nodes. There's still that HTTPS node to add up any other API integration node. So, what other benefit is LangChain CrewAI is providing?
Are you asking LangChain or LangFlow?
LangFlow.
Okay. So as I said, LangFlow is plus to N8N except integrations. So you will not get the platform integrations. You do have the MCP server which you can connect to get integration, but not hard-coded integration how N8N gives you. But the major benefit is the customizability. I will show you in the UI like how you can edit the node of the LangFlow and how you can debug. So it is actually a raw code that is rendered as an UI. So that is the major benefit of LangFlow, and because as I said, it's built from a developer first perspective, so debugging is inbuilt inside it. So if you want to build a customized application, because we tried N8N as well while we were building a platform, and we faced that like every time we need to build something custom, like because the available tools they work at 80%, then we need to add something to that component, and now we are limited because we can't edit the N8N component. That I will show you, like then you will get a better clarity of it.
More
I think there was
flexibility.
one more question.
Okay, please.
So LangFlow gives more flexibility.
Yes, more flexibility. Okay, fine. So the actual source code frameworks, I have picked up the most popular ones. So LangChain is among the most popular ones, which is used to build sequential chained applications of agents. It's also an open source. LangGraph is built on top of the extension of the LangChain. What difference in the LangGraph? It is built for the stateful graphs. So you know the graph concept, like there is one node, there is another node, you can cycle back to some other path if you want to, and that is the, in LangChain you have the blocks which are connected like sequentially, one after the another, and you can't come back. Where in LangGraph, each node can persist its state and you can come back to any node via any path. So that's why LangGraph was built, and it's getting popular now because in an agentic application we need human in the loop, like we need to stop at some node and then according to the human decision we need to divert to some other node. That functionality LangGraph is building. So moving ahead, CrewAI. So Crew has a different kind of purpose from the LangChain and LangGraph. So if you want to build a team of agents which can do some certain task by collaborating with them, so Crew is more tailored towards that. Crew does have the functionality that LangChain support as a base, but it does offer the team working functionality, like it's built from that perspective. Then moving AutoGen. AutoGen is Microsoft's framework for building agent. It does provide both source code as well as some sort of UI, not that much great. Why AutoGen speciality is in a conversational agent. So if you want to build, so how it acts is, I am a user. Now behind me there is a user proxy of mine itself, which is guiding other agents. So it can talk one-on-one to each agent. Like if you have 100 agents and my proxy is sitting behind me and talking to those agents. So this is how AutoGen works. Then there is Google ADK, similar to LangChain, but more tailored to the Google platforms. It has a lot of integration with Google's pre-existing infrastructure. Then comes Llama Index. Llama Index does provide some sort of agent building things, but it is more specialized towards the RAG building perspective. Like it does provide a lot of functionality for parsers. We'll go into what is parser in. To work with a RAG, the things we need like parsers, chunkers, then embedding things and retrievals. Those all are way better in Llama Index. So if you see any backend application that are built, then you will definitely see Llama Index has been used with LangChain. Llama Index has been used with CrewAI. So that's how Llama Index perform. So this is the high level overview of what are the agentic tools that are available in the market as a visual builder or as an source code builders. I hope it's clear. Okay, good.
Guys, feel free to raise your hands at any moment in time. Don't wait for the final Q&A sort of a section. So at any point in time, if you have any doubts, anything that you would like to talk about or ask questions, raise your hand. I'll just pass on the mic to you.
Okay.
Is there something like LangChain is better than LangGraph or LangGraph is better than LangChain?
Yeah, as I said, everyone has a different application perspective. So it depends upon what you want to build. That's why I have explained like purpose of everything. No, so I will explain why as answer of your question. So LangChain is to build a sequential agent. Like if you want to perform one task after another in a chain of sequence, similar to workflow, but it has the agentic blocks now in it. But you can't get back to the last block to some intermediate block. Like if you have a workflow where you want to have a conditional looping, like if this condition happen, this call this agent, else this call this agent. Then it becomes difficult in LangChain because it's not built from that base fundamentals. While if you go to the LangGraph, it's built for the graphs. So what I said right now is a conditional chaining. So if you want that conditional chaining and want the state to be persistent, then you move to the LangGraph. So it's built on top of LangChain itself. So there is no something called as better or poorer. So it's depend upon the application that we want to build.
Right, that's the keyword that both LangGraph, CrewAI internally uses LangChain
Yes.
to kind of power their entire platform. So LangChain is the very
Core.
node or the very root. On top of it, all these frameworks are kind of built upon.
To compare with OpenAI, the agent development kit, has that also been compared with these works?
Okay, so first of all, I haven't bought this framework by comparison, so don't go that. I have just bought it from the most popular and commonly used that are currently used in production. I do know that OpenAI ADK does exist and it is being used, but why I have choose it, because if you, as I said in the first of the session itself, is you lose the abstraction layer. If you tie with the OpenAI, there are companies which are like kind of developing as in partnership with OpenAI. They are completely dependent upon OpenAI ADKs. But like if you want to build an abstraction, like tomorrow you want to replace the provider, then you will be tied to the OpenAI. So that's why I haven't brought the OpenAI here. It does provide good, like even the Google ADK is good. So I have included it as a reference, but yeah, that can be included. It's not a direct comparison, so don't go that like why OpenAI ADK or Anthropic's SDK is not here. So yes.
Question about the human in the loop. You mentioned LangChain has the LangGraph has the human in the loop capability. What human in the loop capability does that have? Like, is it email, Slack? What does it have? And then which other framework would you recommend or do you know about which has the capability of sending human, like, or having a human in the loop?
Okay, sure. So the term human in the loop here doesn't mean like a sending an email. So it's like a more abstract term on the side of an agentic system. Like as you said, you want to send an email, that's an integration. Like you want to do some action after some processing has been done. So that is an integration which can be plugged into any of these frameworks, or even the one I showed it in the previous slide. But if you go to the human in the loop concept, it is what like if I had a diagram, I would have shown you better.
The agentic loop is completely autonomous, right?
Yes.
But you want certain gate checkers that once this particular piece of the puzzle has been solved, I want the human to review what has been done, and once human provides a certain feedback that yes, this is good, go ahead, then the pipeline will move on. If the user provides a feedback that no, you messed up here, you should have done this instead of that, then it will go back as a feedback, and the first loop keeps iterating until and unless the human says that this is good, go ahead. So that's the concept of human in the loop.
So then what, because let's say I have a Slack message that I want to send to somebody, take 1 day, they might take 1 hour to respond. Does the graph wait for it?
Yes, LangGraph has that functionality. Like you can put an infinite, not infinite, some timed out kind of a waiting period where you wait for a reply from some system, like the Slack as you mentioned or email, and that node actually waits until you respond to it. So this is like a trigger for human in the loop. You can use any integration that are available, and that's the by default functionality that LangGraph has. That's why it's also called as an stateful graph for building an agentic applications. So yeah.
Any
Any
other questions?
Is LangFlow like one of the best to kind of create UX design and UI development, or rather, let me put it other way around, which is the best for UX design and UI development?
You are asking from the like front end application or like agent building visual?
Let's say an application has UI as well as backend.
Okay.
So for the UI, UX design and UI development, which framework would be the best to kind of use?
Okay, so here we are I'll explain what are these frameworks. So these are mostly for backend agentic applications that do some sort of backend processing for you. If you are asking to develop actual front end application, so their Cloud Code and other things which are in tools like agentic developer tools, they perform much better. These are not built for that. Like then you have to build your own Cloud Code by using these frameworks. So this is what. Yeah, you can use the livable replit for front end, like prototyping and Cloud Code, of course, which is kind of an one of the best for building a new some application sort of things. But this is what the base. Like if you consider livable replit, they are using this as the base because this is actually working on top of the LLMs, and livable is working on top of this framework. So this is how it works. Hope it's clear. Yeah. Great.
I saw one more hand.
Okay.
So out of the visual agent builders and the framework, the scripting ones, which is good for fast prototyping. I want to build a prototype and showcase it to the end user. So which one is getting good?
Sure. So we did had that problem, and we explored enough visual building tools, and the one that we are going to showcase today is LangFlow. It does provide the fastest prototyping with customizability, but if you don't want the customizability, then N8N is the best thing to go in the market today. Of course, there are others depending but N8N does have almost 500 plus integrations. Then you should not run out of integrations. If you are running, then of course then you need to go to the LangFlow to build a custom integration. But yes, if you want to prototype much faster without much customizability, N8N is one of the best. And if you want customizability, go with LangFlow. So that's what we have discovered through our experimentation and learning. So yeah.
Just adding to that, like based on our experience internally, and I also did some personal experiments, all these tools have varying level of complexity. It takes different time to get onboarded. N8N very easy to get onboarded. LangGraph very difficult to get onboarded.
Yes.
So depending on what you're trying to solve, it is always a better idea to see if a lower complexity tool will work or not. And also, everybody recommends that don't go for LangGraph or LangChain directly because you'll waste a lot of time just setting up that tool. Probably start with N8N or say LangFlow. So LangFlow is higher complexity, more flexibility than N8N, but still workable because it's visual, etc. If you go through that, you can also learn how to use these tools. And there are a lot of common concepts across N8N, LangFlow. These are just agentic design concepts.
Yes.
You'll get to learn those. Simplified. It's like practice games. So N8N can become your practice games if you want to go to
into the frameworks.
Finally the more complex frameworks.
Yes. Great. Hope if no questions are there, we can move forward. We'll see a high level comparison and then we will move forward with the actual content of our session. So as I showed you some of the visual tools and the actual source code framework. So this is kind of an pretty self-explainable comparison. Like you get a good interface while you are building in an UI. Like you can just drag and drop components like without thinking. Like if there is an component of an agent which is a tool calling agent, then you don't need to think like how to integrate a tool calling agent with the help of LangChain. Instead you can just drop a block and you can connect an inputs and output. So this is how the visual interface for you and it's easy to use. Then customizability, of course, in UI you will get limited customizability. Whatever has been provided by the framework, that will be only useful. And if you want to go for higher customizability, you need to move towards the framework. And LangFlow is kind of in between both of the worlds, so it does provide the good enough UI as well as the complexity that framework does offers. Then the focus areas. So majorly, if you want to build, as you said, like a faster prototyping, then visual tools are much better to move fast because you don't have to set up a lot of background things that you need when you do a working in a framework. Because if you choose a framework, then there is a development setup that needs to be done to even run a single flow. So that is the complexity frameworks brings in. Then deployment, as I said. The visual tools are pretty easy to deploy. You get a direct URL, N8N or LangFlow, even if you deployed it, and you can directly hit that URL. But if you go to the framework, then LangGraph does offers its own provider for deployment, like a library that you can run, and you can turn out your code into a fast API server or something like that, and you can then call those REST APIs. So this is how the deployment works. Moving to the observability part. So in visual tools, you get the observability which is provided by the provider itself. Like you can see in the UI, like what is running, what are the outputs of each stage. But if you go into the frameworks, then they are actual raw source code. Like if you have seen the backend application, then there are how we trace each request. Like there are traces, metrics, and logs. So such sort of things come when you move into the frameworks, and there are kind of popular players in this market of LLM observability like LangFuse, LangWatch, and LangSmith. They does all the backend thing for you, and they will provide all capture of the data traces. So this is how observability works. If you go to the use case by, as I said, visuals are much good for the teams which need to build fast prototype and to validate the ideas. So that is much better to move with instead of going to the framework. And once you have the enough ideation and the experimentation done that this architecture will work, then of course going into the framework will bring you a lot of advantage. Yeah, so that was the kind of a high level comparison, and I hope it's clear. Anyone has doubts, please.
So after the prototyping phase, do you go and use these in production, or how do you think about production after?
Sure. So as I said, prototyping is fast with N8N. You can use N8N in production as well, depending upon how complex workflow you want to build upon. So for our use case, what we discovered is we are using N8N as an integration tool. If you want some integration, we create small flow and just trigger it even in production. But when you are actually talking about the complex systems, then we have chosen LangFlow in combination with LangChain, like some sort of code in our backend applications and half of the part in LangFlow, because LangFlow does offers this flexibility that I will show you how much it does offer. That's why we have chosen LangFlow plus hybrid approach basically, and LangFlow has good deployment options. It will take care of a parallel task running for you and sort of lot of things. That's why we use in hybrid approach for our use case, but it depends like what application you are building.
So based on this comparison, would you say visual tool builders are like WordPress? What WordPress is for static websites? Like these are similar.
Yes, similar.
Yeah,
WordPress plus. Yes.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Go in the dashboard.
Yeah, you can just trigger a button and you get the deployed LangFlow, and you can just trigger and ask your agent whatever you want to do. So this is how they are, but yeah, they comes with their pros and cons.
So if it is WordPress, it also means anybody can go and start building websites, right?
Yes, anyone, even not from a tech background, because it's something like you send attach blocks. You need to just understand what block does.
So everybody can go and build agents.
Yes, it is possible today. So moving to the main content of our session, so we'll be discussing and deep diving into the LangFlow. So we'll understand what LangFlow is first, then we will see some demo examples that I will show so that you can understand the power of LangFlow, and then we will have a hands-on lab where I'm expecting to complete 2 problem statements. Let's see how much we are able to do. So the LangFlow, as I said, it's an open source framework for building an AI agents. It's visual based developer first framework. It has kind of similar popularity to the N8N. It has recently crossed 100K stars on GitHub as well and thousands of daily users, so it's actively used. And it was recently acquired by DataStax, which is kind of an IBM company. They provide the hosted LangFlow service. It's going good for LangFlow. What is in there for us as a developers in LangFlow? So Visual Flow Builder is the first advantage. With the customizability, like every node in the LangFlow that I will show you on the LangFlow UI is kind of in Python code. So LangFlow is built on top of its basic language is Python. So you can run, you can code any processing logic that you want in Python, and that can be used as a node inside a LangFlow. Then integration support. So it does lack in the integration support of third-party integrations. What I mean by third-party is your email, your Slack, your S3 bucket, and all those things that are out of your platform. But it does have a wide support for the frameworks that I showed, the frameworks such as the LangChain, LangGraph, even the CrewAI. So as it's built on top of the LangChain, it has a capability to add other frameworks as well. So right now they possess LangChain components, like whole toolkit of LangChain component, whatever you built in your code via LangChain framework, that is available directly. Plus it has CrewAI components, and they are recently working on other to bring in other frameworks as well. So it is kind of becoming top layer of all the frameworks which provide customizability plus a visual building. So this is how LangFlow is moving forward. It does support the multi-agent architecture, so you can have multiple agents, one agent calling another one, that kind of integration directly in LangFlow, and it is becoming possible because in N8N, it's kind of a flow and a sequence. You cannot come back and call, you can call another agent in a condition, like they does provide a if loop kind of thing, but you can't come back and persist a state. And it is going to become possible, like it's becoming, it's not available yet, they are working upon it, because LangGraph can be directly integrated into LangFlow via custom nodes. That is gonna game changer because LangFlow will have that functionality. Then from deployment side, it does offer the functionality that N8N provide, like simple deployment via URLs. But other options for us as a developer, of course, it's as an open source, it provides Kubernetes and Docker deployment by default. Plus on top of it, like the custom component, like it provides a developer first experience. So how you design your source code and how it works in a Docker. So if you go to the N8N, then you need to like write your custom nodes first, then you need to build, and you will see that in the UI. But whenever you go in a LangFlow, you can build it in your source code, like you are building in an IDE, and those components will appear inside your UI, and you can directly edit them from UI. You can observe the logs of those components. So this is how the deployment, observability, and developer first perspective that LangFlow has took, and it's going good. So we'll see a high level overview of how LangFlow works. So I have running my like local LangFlow. It's a Docker container that is running. I have few custom components built upon it. So this is how the LangFlow dashboard looks. I hope it's visible. Hello. ठीक है. Fine. So this is how LangFlow dashboard looks like. Here on the side, you can manage your projects depending upon use case. You can store your files that resides within LangFlow itself. Then you have a store, which is kind of a third party, like developers can collaborate and give their components, and you can directly use. Then fine, I'll take it. Then you have the profile section where the basic settings are there. You can control the secrets, environment variables, and so on and so forth from here. Then let's move and see a basic flow. So I will start with a blank flow. You will get some predefined templates which you can play with. LangFlow offer that to understand how LangFlow works. Then once you go into a blank LangFlow, so if you can see on the left hand side, it does offer the component panel similar to how you have in N8N. And if you see this structure and layout of it, it's a bit different than the N8N, because as I said, it's built from a developer first perspective. So it offers things like how we think as a developer. Like if I want to build an API, then what I need? I need a REST server which will have some endpoint, and that REST endpoint will have some processing logic, some validation logic, and then it will do some DB updates, and it will return some output to the back user. So this is how as one developer think, and they are also thinking like you will have inputs, you will have outputs, you will have prompt, you will have processing, and you attach some models. So this is kind of they have been structuring. So there are different nodes that you get, and you can just plug in any node inside your visual editor. And as I said, what I was talking is this functionality. So as you can click on the code, and you will see the complete code of the node that is getting displayed, and you can edit any functionality, expecting that we are using it, we are extending it from the base LangFlow, and then you can add anything that you want to build. This is what is lacking in the N8N, and they are developing, but it's still not on that rails that what LangFlow is going in. I'll show some of the advanced component builds, so you will get the feel like what can be built using LangFlow. So it does offer the sort of all the available popular models that you can integrate with. So you will not feel lacking on side of building when you are going with a framework. And it does offer the bundles. What I was talking about, the LangChain bundle. So it offer inbox all the LangChain component that you can build via code, like using LangChain framework in your source code. This is not something which some of this you will find in N8N, but not all. And similarly, other bundles does exist there. So, and something that I was telling you, the custom components. So I have for a demo purpose, I have brought some of our demo components. So this is something which we have built for our use case. So for a comparison, I will show what power LangFlow offers you. So if I go to the VB8, so all of you know the VB8 database. So it is one of the vector database, kind of popular one. So you should be knowing it. This is kind of an inbuilt component of VB8 that you can see. So what it offers is an URL API key, basic collection name to refer to an collection, and a search query and an embedding model. So these are 4-5 options, and you might say,
is this a hands-on that everyone needs to?
No, it is a high-level overview that you need to understand how LangFlow works. Then we will go into an hands-on, because if you directly jump in, then you will not understand how the basic blocks works. That's why I'm showing some demonstrations. So this is basic component that will say might not be enough. Now you see our flight basis component. So this is what we build as a custom component. I hope it's pretty big, so it's not able to fit inside the window. I'll scroll for you. So you can see it does have the basic capabilities. Plus now we have in embedding model is fine, collection is fine, search query. We have added extra fields like a filter property. Like as we are using VB8 and we want to use every feature of VB8 that VB8 offers. Like it does offers a lot of filtering capabilities, filter hybrid searches, ranking, and all sort of things which are not available in this component. And now I want to use them, but I am limited because I can't do that in the UI. So that's how LangFlow works in. You can build your custom whatever you want on top of the frameworks. So it's built on top of the VB8's SDK basically. So that's what I mean. You are writing source code, but you are not writing in your backend IDE, you are writing it inside a LangFlow. So, and you can edit any and every part of it, and it will reflect as soon as you edit it here. Another interesting thing, like if you are like first time using it, then if you add some node inside a LangFlow, then you don't know like what to add next, then you just click on the drag and drop buttons, and you will see like what are the available options that you can connect to. This is something which LangFlow N8N does offers, but at some limited capability because LangFlow has the syntax detection and all those things, so that it makes sure that you don't connect wrong nodes and the things out here. This is pretty much for the demonstration. We will go to an actual demo, so to demonstrate how LangFlow agent can be built, and then we will have a few minutes break, and then we will move on to the hands-on lab. Great. We will start with a quick demo first to understand how things are built in LangFlow. Then we'll give you an access to our local hosted LangFlow, so it's running on my laptop itself, and we'll do some hands-on lab on it. So let's start with the one example demo that I was showcasing to you guys. So it's like I will describe what is that, then we can understand better. So the example demo is about the financial advisor agent. So I have picked the example such as that it's kind of a sequential task agent. So it involves multiple agents. So 3 agents basically to perform an analysis. So the use case for this is like if you want to invest into some stock or company, then you need to do a background research, complete background research for it, do its finances, check its reports from the previous years, and generate a detailed kind of an like a report for you to whether to like see all the parameters directly by yourself. So it's kind of a classical application that people used to build, and I have used LangFlow to demonstrate how LangFlow helps us to build that. So we'll be navigating to the LangFlow UI itself. So I will give a high overview, then we will check out each component, what is that and how it works. So it have a 3 agent architecture. So first is your researcher agent. So whatever prompt you will be giving, like we will asking some prompt to it. That prompt will be fed to the researcher agent. And as I said, like it's completely editable. So you can do whatever you want to do with it. It's a drag and drop block directly available from LangChain. It has different inputs to connect with. Currently, I have used one tool and a prompt and a chat input that will be provided from a user. So what is prompt? So basically, this is something the system instruction for an LLM, and LangFlow does this good job to provide an extra component for a prompt. Then you can switch any of the models, underlying models. Then I have connected a Tably AI search, which is like a hosted service which provides searching tools. Okay, sorry. Hope it's visible. Cool. So Tably search is one of the like a hosted service which provides API as a web search service. Then there is a second agent which is a finance agent. So its system prompt is tailored to research about a particular company, what to look at the company, and what the output structure that it needs to follow. So
he is asking if you can change the theme to light mode.
okay, fine. I do like dark mode, but okay. Is it visible or it's bad now?
I don't. Usually dark mode better रहता है, but अगर आप लोग अभी भी आ रहा है क्या?
अभी तो कुछ दिख रही रहा होगा. Okay, fine. We'll have at least some sort of visibility. Okay, fine. I hope it's visible. Okay, fine. So second is a finance agent whose system.
Zoom in कर दो.
Yeah.
सब कुछ ही zoom in करके दिखाओगे.
Cool. So it has a system prompt which is tailored for like a finance, like how a finance agent thinks when he research about a particular company, what to look for a particular company stocks, data sheets, core company analysis, and all those sort of things that usually a human finance agent does. So this is a system prompt for that agent, and it does have a tool called a Yahoo Finance to fetch the financial report, market analysis of that company, and things that are defined in the template. Then we have a third agent, which is an analysis and agenter agent. Now, like from first agent, we'll get the deep research of that company from the internet. From the second agent, we will get the financial analysis of that company, whatever we'll be asking in the prompt. And the third agent has a task to collate both of these and transform into the structure that I want. Like this is what I want as an output for a particular company, like a report structure, like a quick take, market analysis, industry position, and the thing that I want as my custom output to be there. So this is the third agent. It does have a calculator tool to calculate. It don't need it like LLM by default have a functionality to add numbers, but if you want to add something custom, it does have the calculator to be attached, and there is a chat output. So this is a classical sequential agent workflow. If you can see, there is one agent, there is a second, and then there is a third one, and they are connected in a chain fashion. And now you will ask me like, what is the difference between this and a workflow then? So you might seem this as a workflow, but if you see this particular block, it's an agent block. So it has an agent which has a tools. Now currently I have attached only one tool, but let's say you have a complex system where you have a similar kind of application, and now you want your agent to access your own databases. Like let's say I'm running a finance company and I provide users a service to analyze other finance company reports. Then I want my users to access my own database, like their own database. Then you can attach multiple tools and this agent can use them. So now this truly becomes an agent, plus with the addition of memory so that it can remember what I talked him or her last time. So fine. So that's why it's not a workflow. It looks like a flow. So that's why they called it a flow, not a workflow. Like LangFlow has a term called flow. So we'll run it to get the gist of how like you can run a LangFlow. So LangFlow offer a playground capability where you can directly like ask questions and test the things in the chat. But in like real-time deployments, you will be accessing it through some kind of hosting options, such as it provides the SDK options where you can directly call from a Python or JS SDK, or you can make a curl request, like it's a REST endpoint that is being exposed. Or you can also call this flow from your agent, like a Cloud Code, your cursor or anything, because whole LangFlow server acts as an MCP server. So these are the options that you can like test and run your pipelines. So I'm using the most simplest approach, which is the chat approach. So we'll ask him about like, have you heard the recent news on the wind subs? So okay, cool. Let's ask about like, it's a good time to invest in the wind sub or not? Hi, I want to invest into the wind sub. So research, analyze, and figure out about the market conditions of wind sub and prepare a guide for me. Wind sub is an agentic ID development platform. So it does some spelling mistakes. I will correct it. Okay. Cool. I'll send a request. It will do processing in the background. Till then, I will show you like some of the pre-processed things. So as I was talking about the observability, so like it will run behind the scene and all those agents will work. But how do you know like which agent called which tool? Was that a successful call? What was like a query that has been made to a search API, and what result has returned, and how agent performance will depend upon it. So so LangFlow as agent builder platform provide an extensibility that you can plug any observability platform. So in a classical software 1.0, we have a observability in terms of traces, metrics, and logs, so which you can capture from your application that is running on the server. Similarly, there are providers in the market like LangFuse, LangSmith, and LangWatch, which does this like a lot of handholding for you. You can just plug in their API keys and the URLs, and they will collect all the traces that is happening within a LangFlow for you. And this is something which is kind of an lacking feature. I would rather say N8N might not have thought from this perspective, because you can't plug in external observability providers into your platform. They offer their own, like, but it's limited. The more data you want, you won't be able to get it. So I am like currently I'm having the LangFuse integrated inside the LangFlow. It's just API key plugin, and we'll try to debug one of the sessions. So the thing that currently I'm showing is the traces of the LangFuse. So this is LangFuse dashboard. It does have a lot of other things. We will be only seeing at traces right now to understand what happened in our one of the executions that ran. So this is the execution that ran few minutes ago that we ran recently. So it has the cost and other things associated. You can see these were our tools that we had in our LangFlow. That search tool, there was a chat input block, there was a calculator, there were different prompts, and finance. So this comes our first agent. So you can see there were 3 agents in our flow, and we do have all of them. You can scroll for you guys. Okay, hope it's visible. There are 3 of them available, and now you can go inside a particular agent, and this is actually a LangChain, how LangChain behind the scene works, because it has a like this is all the LangChain concept. So how whenever you provide a prompt to a LLM node and till the output, how it processes within inside it when it's an tool calling agent. So I'll show you the chat prompt template. So I'll zoom out a bit. So yeah, this was the input that I have provided, like I want to invest in WindSup and research about and so on and so forth. This was the system prompt that we fed in from a system prompt block, and then you can see there was a chat history intermediately that agent did, and then we can go to the OpenAI node, and this was the tool call that was made. This was the function to fetch the, you can see WindSup agent ID development platform market analysis 2024. This was the query generated by the agent, and it was fired. It fired the Tavily search tool to get the result.
How do we know that travel tool was used?
So you can see the ID of the tool that has been called here. So this was the get current date. I'll show you. Give me a minute. It does show the ID. I need to figure out by going down. I can show you guys. Just wait a minute.
Tool call ID. Is the tool call ID under message log?
Yeah, I can see that, but it has a nested structure. This ID does associated with the tool. I'll need to figure out in which sequence it got called, which will take some time. But yeah, it does provide that functionality. You can verify which tool has been called, how many times that tool was called, and every time what was the input, what was the output, and how much time even that tool takes. So the classic observability that we as a service like hosted backends want, because that will derive our optimization in our platform as well as the observability to understand what's going on. So this was kind of an output of the first agent. I think so it's completed. I will copy it from here so we can visualize it better, because I have zoomed out pretty big. Oh, sorry. It's not getting copied. Okay, okay, fine. It should have copied. Okay, cool. It does have some issues with the chat, so that's why I wanted to show you but it's not getting copied. Anyway, but it does generated the report in the format that I wanted with the research that I asked him, and it is the actual internet-based research that I will do as an agent, or even if you are using Perplexity or any deep research tool that you want to do it for you. The similar way, this example was for demonstration. Of course, this can be pretty easily done in a Perplexity or a deep research kind of platforms. But if you want to integrate some custom things, like if you want to integrate your own financial portfolio, then it's a bit difficult. You can't do it that with the Perplexity unless you are ready to share your portfolio with Perplexity. So great. So this was kind for a demonstration. Now we will move on to the hands-on lab. Please join this network, flight-based guest. You can see that, and type this URL. This is my localhost IP and LangFlow that is running. Once you all get to the LangFlow homepage, please confirm.
Let's wait on that.
Yeah. I will read out if it's not visible.
Let us know once everybody has kind of.
So it's 192.168.10.217. So this is IP. Then there is a port, so you can enter :7860, and you can hit enter. You can use any browser that you want. Hopefully use.
You will hit SSL certificate error, so just go to advanced mode and continue.
Yeah, it's running locally, so yeah, you might face that. It's on HTTP, my current laptop. Are you able to access it? Have you connected to the right network?
Guess no.
Yeah.
You would have to join the Fridays guests Wi-Fi first. Until unless you do that, you won't be able to access this icon.
Install. Yeah, it's loading. Wait.
Anyone who has reached our landing page of LangFlow? Perfect. Anyone who is facing issues, need any help?
Have you connected to our Wi-Fi? Should be able to reachable. It's on HTTP, right? Oh, it's on HTTPS. You have to HTTP. I think now Chrome has. You can open. It's 217, right? It's redirecting to the HTTPS. Yeah, it's going HTTPS by default.
हमारा LangFlow का सर्वर मर गया है। कितने लोगों ने कनेक्ट मारा है? एक बार चेक करो।
नहीं चल रहा है ये आई थिंक नेटवर्क की वजह से वो लोड नहीं हो पा रहा है क्या सर्वर तो चल रहा है भाई डू यू स्टिल फेसिंग इश्यूज should not be able to should not redirect in a incognito tab at least.
Actually, we are going. So we are not going to do the financial advisor. We are going to build. If you have LangFlow server in your local machine, that's completely alright. You don't need to connect per se here. Only the custom node you would have to share it with you. That is going to be a bit difficult, but at least.
I think it's like this one. Like if you guys are facing still the problem with the SSL, I do have the Git repository of this as well. So if you are having Docker installed, we can try that. So I'll share the Git repository URL for you. So you can just clone its say demo application itself.
Are you then going to share the GitHub link?
Like couple of people are still facing issues, so I'll share. You can try out till then. We'll have hosted as well LangFlow. So just give me a minute, guys. So like the ones who are facing issue can like navigate to this Git URL. So it does have this demo application that we are seeing as a repository. So you can clone it and just make a it has a Dockerized setup already. So you can make Docker Compose up. I need to provide you an env. So I'll provide you one-on-one basis the one who will be using the Docker deployments. Anyone using Docker deployment? So I can push the example env for you guys. If you are not using, then we can move forward.
So the problem is that guest network has a limit to, because it's an open network, so it's limited. So that's why you guys are facing that problem. Those who have already been able to connect to it, please let's go on with the hands-on session. Parallel mein, you have that GitHub, so that GitHub repository has the code base for anyone to kind of serve their own LangFlow server, right?
Yes, yes.
Right, so
I'm
those
just
who are
pushing.
not able to connect to our network, set up your own LangFlow server in your local machine so that you can then follow on.
Just give me a minute. I'm pushing the example env. You'll need to add your API keys in that. So
I see people have started to create their own flows.
Okay.
So that एक दूसरे का flow edit ना करो, अपना नाम उसमें डाल दो so that
it's better approach. Like you in left hand side you can see a project. So click on plus and you create a project by yourself by your name. So you'll get an independent folder and you can do whatever you want to do inside that. So it's a good practice. So let's do that. So we'll not break into someone else's flow. So till then I connect. You guys can explore the starter projects. It has 2-3 projects, so you can get the feel of running a LangFlow, seeing it, how it works, interact with it. Till then I connect things. You can start with any template or even if the blank flows as well if you are exploring something. So yeah, we got our GitHub updated. So anyone who is facing can reach out to this GitHub link. It's I have shared it. So it's my -mali01/langflow-webinar. So you can just clone it and build a Docker. You'll need to add certain API keys like OpenAPI and all those things, but other things are pre-built. So those who are facing issues can navigate to this. Till then we can start with the one who are having access to. Guys, please give a name to your project, so it would be better for identifying yourself as well as for us as well. So we are not breaching into someone else's flow. Yeah, I'm showing the GitHub URL again. Please take a snapshot, those who want. Okay, fine, we can move forward. So I think majority of you have got the LangFlow in your browsers. Great. So what we'll be doing in a hands-on lab is I have created 2 problem statements for us to try to solve. So let's see the first one. So I would want your attention for a few minutes to understand this. Then you can deep dive into the LangFlow and do the stuff by yourself. We can have a interactive session. Cool. So the problem statement is we need to build a small chatbot, which is kind of a document-based chatbot. Like I have few documents that I'll be providing in, and I'll be asking some questions based on that document, and it needs to refer to whatever I have provided, not something which is existing on the internet. So document-based, a classic example of any support ticket chatbot. So this is what we want to build, and how we'll be building with a LangFlow. I have a procedure for you guys. I'll not be reading the procedure first. We'll commit, we'll see like how you guys are able to build up. I'll be also building along with you guys. I'll explain high level overview what we will be doing in this. So we'll have a document. Then what we like, if we want to reference it during the LLM tool call, we need to store it to some vector rag. Why, like you ask, why do we need vector rag? That's the question. Then like if you have thousands of lines of documents, then it is not suggestible and even not applicable that you put it into the context window of an LLM. So you need some sort of storage where you can retrieve based on the query you need. So we'll need to first convert that document into a vector store, like a rag, and store it inside a vector store. So here for a demo, we'll be using a simplest in-memory hostable store, that is ChromaDB, which is pretty easily we will be able to do it in a webinar. So first we'll need to take that document, chunk it. So what chunking means here is like if you have 1000 lines and now you want to convert that into a rag, you need to like semantically group some parts and then you need to convert them into the vectors. So converting them into vectors, you need them to be splitted at certain intervals. So there are different splitter exist. Normal one which will split like block by block, like 100 characters block, 1000 characters blocks. There exist which will split according to the semantic. Like if some block needs a paragraph which is a bit bigger, then it will club that together. There are 2-3 lines which are smaller, then it will club them together. So those semantic splitters also come. So for the demo, we'll be choosing the simplest one so we can get much faster, like the split text, like a simple text splitter, or a recursive split character split, which is by default provided by a LangChain. We'll not be going into the semantic one because you'll need to build some sort of custom logic inside it, which will become difficult for us during the webinar time. Then we'll store that into the vector, which is ChromaDB. I would encourage you guys to use Chroma because if you are using VB8 or other, you will need to add your keys and URLs for it, which is might not be able to complete in this duration.
So do we have to host Chroma server in our local machine, or it's
no, ChromaDB has 2 deployment options, in-memory Chroma store or a file-based. So it's like if you heard the SQLite, it is kind of a SQLite database in memory as well as file persistent database. So LangFlow offers by default in-memory database. So you can drag a component of ChromaDB and you attach input output to it. So it stores. Please make sure you give your collection name as your own collection name, because else you will jump into someone else's collection while you are retrieving the data. So just take care of that. Then we will, as we now have set up the rag, now we need to retrieve and make the functionality work, that according to query I am retrieving from the database and formatting and providing a response to the user. So this is the first flow that we'll building. Second, in the retrieval chain we'll have a user input, then we need to form a prompt which can be fired into a database as a search query, and we'll get the result back. Once those results are back, those results clubbed with our user prompt will be fed to an LLM agent block, and the output will be generated, which you can attach a chat block to view inside a chat window. So this is high level flow, and these are the steps to do. I will give you 5-10 minutes to you guys play with it to understand how you are able to build it, and then I will also start building with you guys on screen so we can understand better. And if anyone is able to build it much faster, I'll give him a chance to present. So yeah, the steps are in front of you. LangFlow is available. If you are facing any issues, please tell us.
Mahesh, in the interest of time, let's go ahead. You show let's take everyone on the journey.
Okay.
Block by block.
Cool. Sorry guys, we are running out of time. That's why, but we are planned initially. So I will show you how final output looks. Then you'll be able to relate what I am doing actually. So the flow that I was talking, like we'll get some file like MD. It support 20+ file formats, or you can build your own. So I'm using the pre-built component of which loads files. then we need to use some splitter to split that files.
So let's do that.
Okay. Like I was thinking to show the high level, then we can start doing, because if I start doing, then people might not understand
नहीं
completely.
करते ना.
Okay.
एक करके एक वो high level तो दिखा दिया ना already. तो एक
ठीक
करके
है.
block बनाना है.
Cool. So I'll be creating a flow that you guys can also start with. I'll starting with a blank flow. So it's a blank document. I'll make sure to give my name. So as I said, we need to load a file. So we need a file component. So you can search for the file.
So do we chose LangFlow, but could we have chosen the vectors for RAG as well?
Yeah, we could have chosen directly a template, but it has all the things pre-fed, so you'll not get the feel of building it. So we got our file component. Then what does file component will do for you is it will load files from your system. So let's say I have someone has already loaded a file. I have a file of MD which is kind of in more than thousands of lines. So I will show you what I am loading currently. So let me guess. So if you guys know, robot is an process automation framework, and it has this documentation. So it's pretty big documentation, like more than 10,000 of lines plus. And I have downloaded this inside an MD, like it has been scrapped and downloaded and available as a file. So which is available, you can see, and I am attaching this as a file. So it is pretty big file, so that we can actually test how chunking works. Now we need to chunk it. So as I said, we can use splitters, different splitters. So when I search split, you guys hope it's visible now. On the left hand side, you can see different splitters. So this is the default component, which actually splits. Like it takes the data. You can define a chunk size. What is chunk size in the framework? Chunk size is actually a character, like characters, how many characters you want to chunk. Then chunk overlap defines how many chunk or characters should be common between the two chunks, so that the context is not lost. And separator, like if you want to chunk, like you have a file and you have a markdown kind of format where you have headers or dividers in between, and you want that each divider will be a chunk, then you can provide a separator as well. This is very basic component, but if you see the LangChain pack, there are different LangChain default components, like character text splitter, which is pretty similar to split text. There is a recursive character text splitter. It does offer the other functionality, like whenever you are using markdowns, in markdowns you have certain hierarchy, and that needs to be preserved. This helps to do that. It is built by a LangChain, extended from Llama index. So the others are there. We'll be using recursive character text splitter, which is one of the good for splitting text which has MD formats, or even PDFs as for PDFs. You can use character text splitter or a split text if you are uploading PDFs. I'm uploading MD file. So after the file is uploaded, it will provide a data input which you can connect to, like it provides. So if you can see, there are 3 outputs of the file. So these are the basic data structure of LangFlow. So every input and output in LangFlow has these 3 types of data structures, like how we have int float. Similarly, we have data, which is an object. We have data frame, which is like Excel's kind of format, like data frame in pandas, if you know. Then there is a message, which is a raw text. Whatever you put, it's a raw text. So we'll be connecting a data to input of our character, our splitter. If you want to connect other inputs, you need to convert it, because that is not compatible. If you can see, I remove this end. You can collect and delete, it will get deleted. And if you can see, when I click on that dot, it only show me the endpoint which I can connect to. If you want to connect to other endpoint, then you need to attach a translator or a conversion unit between that. So let's move. Now we got the splitter connected. Now I will run and show you guys what it does. Oops. Cool. My file was, I think, correct. I'll upload it from my system itself. Wait. Because I had a Docker, like it is persisting in the Docker volume, and I have mounted it, so I'll upload a fresh file.
I see a lot of you guys are uploading your own documents. Make sure that it's not a proprietary document because everybody has visibility to your document.
So I have selected the file. It got run. Now we can see the output, like how a text splitter works. So this was the file output that has been chunked, and you can see that this, like how this is the very basic chunking that happens, and we have chosen it to be on a character block. So the key, the file path that was chunked, and this is the actual chunk that was derived based on our character limit that we have provided, and it has generated such chunks depending upon length of your document. So I have a pretty big document, so enough chunks are there for us to test, like hundreds of chunks. Now we need to store that into a vector rack. So anyone following me, like, or where are you guys reached? Okay, cool. We'll attach now a vector store for it. So as I said,
I see some confused faces. Any doubt? Has everyone reached this page?
okay,
Where do we see the chunked data?
you can see this in
Yes.
output.
Yeah, you have
So-
to click on that.
So whenever you run any component, like you can see there is a top right bar, you can run a component like at any stage, like even a file stage or at this stage. When you run, it will run the LangFlow, and you can see the output in the bottom right, that is kind of in data output format currently happening with this component. And once you click, you will see the actual output that has been generated. And you can click on each row. So it is kind of an Excel format, which is called a data frame. So should we move forward? Cool.
Yeah.
So now we need a vector store. So if I search a vector store, you can see there are a lot of vector stores that we can connect to. And for a webinar, we'll be connecting ChromaDB because it is the good option to have a in-memory and easily connectable. If you connect VB8 or others that you can see in the list, you need to add your own API keys and the hosted versions of them. So what does this Chroma component needs? It needs a data to be ingested that we have chunked, like a rows. Then it need if you want to search, in this case we don't want to search, we will not be using this input. We need an embedding model. So if you guys know how RAG is been being built, so you get some text or some image like in multimodal form, and then you need a model which will convert this text or an image into a vector space, because everything at the end of the day will be a numbers that will be mapped into a vector space and matched via some algorithm, vector by vector. So we need to convert to a vector, and for that there are a lot of embedding models available. And you can see on the drop down list we have a lot of them. We'll be using OpenAI's embedding model, which performs one of the best in text embeddings, like text small 3 as well as the large model. I have the attached OpenAPI keys, so you guys don't need to add any keys. You can just if you're not able to see OpenAPI key, you can just click on this web kind of thing, and you will get the other API keys that has been linked, and you can select the OpenAPI key. You can change the model from here. So these are the standard model that OpenAI provides. Text embedding 3 small and large are the recent models and perform well. So we'll be using small because our use case is not that pretty complex, and small model provides functionality to map into a dimension of around 1500. So that should be enough for us. So let's connect this embedding model, and let's connect our data ingestion pipeline as well. And as I was saying to you guys, you need to give it's not necessary, but same document might run different result. Let's make sure that each of one have your own name, so that collection name. So it is similarly how you give a table name or a collection name in a SQL or NoSQL databases. So it's easy to you will be able to validate whether your documents are getting fetched properly or not. So I'll be giving my name, and we can run this component so that the chunks are getting embedded. So you can see the processing has started. The chunks will be embedded into the Chroma, and my collection name is given. Currently I have left the persistent directory as empty, so I don't want this to be persisted. Once the flow is when I restart the LangFlow again, it will not be there. So it's act like a similar to how SQLite database.
क्योंकि वो
रिट्राइवल फिर अलग कलेक्शन से हो रहा है अभी, तो कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है उसमें.
तो बेसिकली अगेन zooming out a bit, थोड़ा zoom out करना. नीचे वाला जो flow बना है, so what this flow does is basically it is chunking and embedding your your PDF document into a vector database. So ये जो vector database में ये जो भी collection है, इस collection में ये PDF फाइल या markdown फाइल convert हो रही है, chunking हो रही है, इससे chunk हो रहा है, और OpenAI के embedding model use हो रही है. ये दोनों ये chunking and embedding model use करके ये vector space में convert हो रहा है. Markdown file या PDF या any text file gets converted into the chroma DB or vector space, and then the upper pipeline is all about your actual chat agent. So the chat agent actually needs to communicate with your vector database as well as the vector database. So typically any vector database, if you give कि मुझे ये keywords चाहिए, तो it will retrieve certain elements जो कि उसे लगता है कि उस vector space पे nearest element है, तो वो सारे elements निकाल के तो दे देगा, but whatever the output of this vector DBB, chroma DB, VB8 or Pinecone or whatever that you use, whatever the output that it will generate, the raw output, it is not going to be user friendly. So say to make it user friendly, you need to then pass on the output of this search query to an OpenAI model, which he did in the second half of that flow. So that's the overall. Any questions till now? Any kind of?
So yeah, I was attaching a wrong collection, that's why it was not able to fetch the data. So I just fired a simple query to understand like the flow is working currently. We can ask pretty. So I'll ask one query. So I'll fire a query for it. So it will fetch the variable. Like robot framework has a certain kind of variable declaration. Like how do we have in other languages? And it did fetch. Now we will see how it. Like what was the intermediately stage results. So you can see these were the 10 documents. Like as we are using the simplest form of.
Before we reach here, has is everybody on the same page? ये पूरा pipeline बन गया है क्या सबका?
And is it working? Like you can. Okay, see. You can see.
I am on the part of the tool.
Okay, I will. Okay, we'll zoom out a bit so that. Yeah.
पार्सर तक सबका हो गया है क्या? प्रॉम्प्ट ब्लॉक में कोई अटका है? दिस वन zoom in.
Prompt block में you need to add a placeholder like in a curly braces. Then you will be able to use it as an input. Has everyone reached here?
Any questions? So prompt block
is right now I have created.
zoom in करो.
Okay. This prompt block is basically to merge my query as well as the context. It's not a system prompt. The system prompt, that will be fed in directly to the agent. So it's here. So this is system instruction. But the prompt that I created is an user input prompt. So basically I added two variables. You can add more context of what the context is about and how to fetch it. Like this is called a prompt engineering thing. But I added a simplest prompt which has a user query, and in placeholder you can put any variable name which you want as an input. So here we wanted two, like a user query and a context, and I fed that. So it will appear like two bubbles for you, like to connect two inputs to other blocks. So the context block is our past test block, and user query was our chat input. So this line is going back to the first component. Sorry. The one thing is like in LangFlow, this is streamed output view. So if you want to see the actual output view, you can fetch the log, which is not here available. I haven't mounted the directory for my Docker container. So you can mount and pull all the logs. Plus, I'll show you the traces inside the LangFlow. There you will see the complete log of what this block has been outputting and the other things. It's a visual thing. It trims the output.
Everyone has configured their prompt block. Any doubt? कहाँ अटके हो?
Should I show the
So within that prompt block, what is it that you are stuck on? So when you there is a template section, right? So you double click on that template section.
So I will show you from scratch. So this is the block that I dragged from prompt. It's an empty block. It just have a template kind of text. You can click and you can start entering your prompt. So like our prompt was like user query, and now whatever you want as a variable, please enter it into curly braces, which is syntax for LangFlow to act as a placeholder, and you can enter context and another variable.
So user queries the actual chat input that user gave, and the context is the output of your ChromaDB.
Query can be any.
Yeah, you can write any, like the query is getting fetched from the input that will be feeding into the chat. So it's coming from the first block.
So the idea is that the output of the prompt block goes as an input to your OpenAI model. So the OpenAI model. So this OpenAI model has this input section, right? So any LLM that you use, it requires some sort of an input and a system prompt, right? System prompt यहाँ पे hard coded है. जो input है, now this input needs to have two segments. One is user ने जो भी chat query को, जो chat window में महेश was asking ना कि ये what is this document about? ये जो chat query है, ये as an input OpenAI को जाने की ज़रूरत है, as well as जब वेक्टर सर्च किया था, तो वेक्टर सर्च का जो रेस्पॉन्स आया था, वो रेस्पॉन्स भी OpenAI को एज एन इनपुट जाने की जरूरत है. जो प्रॉम्प्ट ब्लॉक कर रहा है, वो प्रॉम्प्ट ब्लॉक यही दो चीजों को एसिमुलेट करने का काम कर रहा है. विद इन प्रॉम्प्ट ब्लॉक यू हैव यूजर क्वेरी एंड देन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट इज नथिंग बट द output of the previous block. This block is the parser, which is nothing but output of your ChromaDB. Any doubts, any questions? I'll repeat it many times. No problem. So everybody has completed the prompt block, connected with OpenAI as well. All done? जिनका नहीं हुआ है वो रेज ऑफ हैंड कर दो ताकि फिर आई नो कि should we move on or not. ठीक है, let's
Okay, so once you are connected, you can start testing in a playground. You can create your default set, like it offer a default session. You can create your own if you want to manage the sessions. And yeah, I asked few queries. I'll ask again. So it will retrieve from the document, and I'll show you how the tracing works in here. So I'm entering like robot framework has a different variable declaration, so it's not as similar to as our Python or C++ have. So we'll ask a query. So it will respond back as till then we'll go to the LangFlow that I showed you in the initial of the thing. So what LangFlow plays over here is we have plugged in like LangFlow by default offers LangFlow's integration. You just need to plug in your API keys and it will start capturing every trace that you put into the agent. Someone else is trying. So it has given the output, so and which is accurate as I know because I work on I have a lot of times on the robot framework. What interesting is we will see the intermediate state result, that is what will be important for us because output will be generated definitely, but we need to debug and understand what was the output of each state. So these outputs are for the first query that is inside the chat, like what was the document about. So you can see that there were some chunks retrieved from the like it has limit of like currently the by default component supports limit of 10 chunks, but this is in our control. When you build custom components, how many chunks to fetch, what filters to apply, and there are other things like re-ranking of those fetch chunks. Like if you like simply a concept of RAG is a semantic search. So whenever you do a search, it matches keyword by keywords and it fetches a semantically matching vector for you. But it's not always case that the query that you have asked, even if it has words, it's not related to that. So you need some sort of re-ranking. That this fetch document will be again re-ranked according to your query, and some will be dropped and some will be kept. So we'll get a relevant context, which we haven't done here because of sort of time. So we need a lot of things to be set up for that. Then the pass text is basically a simple text output, and it's getting trained. You might not be able to see it fully. You can see it by logs, which you can fetch by mounting a volume. Then our prompt was formed. So this was the my prompt initially that I given, and this was the context that were retrieved. And this is a standard LLM node which will take us our input and the system prompt, pretty basic system prompt that I have given here. And we'll get the output that we have seen in the diagram. We'll now see the tracing of it. Let me see my session. A lot of people are having sessions, so usually we have user ID and a lot of other things in the session, so you can easily figure out. But today I haven't made a setup for that. I'll pick a random one which has. Okay, cool. We got someone else's. It's not mine, but fine. So whatever change that we have seen in the flow, the similar change you can see in the LangFlows with the detailed traces. Like we had a chat input, then embedding model and a ChromaDB, which were embedding our like how semantic search works. Whenever you search in a natural language, that needs to be first converted into an embedding, and that embedding will be matched with an algorithm in a database. So that's why we added embedding model in the retrieval phase as well. So that's why there was a need of embedding model. You cannot search directly a natural language into a DB. Some DB offers like a keyword search for like your IDs, like you want to filter first by user ID, then you can filter and then apply a semantic search. So that is available. Then we had a parser block, a prompt block, and an OpenAI node from LangChain and a chat output. So the person who gave this credit was about what is this block about. You can see the detailed tracing, which is needed for observability. Oh, okay. This is too detailed trace, but what I want to show you here is this is fine. These are the static blocks. So these were the documents, you will see two sections. One is input and output of particular block, and there were some metadata that were captured. So like number of results, what similarity search type was used. There are different types like cosine, similarity, and so on. These are basically algorithms, and you can see the result here. These were the logs, and this is the actual result. So there were 10 documents fetched. This was the file path, this was the text that was fetched. Like it is not trimmed here. Now we have detailed traces. Like you can see every like what was the chunk that has been fetched, and this can be optimized using different tools and techniques. This was the parser output, which is fine. We'll see our prompt. So this was the prompt output. So you can see that whatever we have entered as a user query and the context from the database has been used together, and it has, let's see. So see, we have got 10 chunks and it has almost 6,000 characters, which is pretty inefficient actually. We need accurate number of chunks and the things in the context window. But for a demo, we got 10 chunks and the thing which is embedded. Now we move to the OpenAI block, and now you can see this is like it has different sections because it's LangChain's OpenAI node, which is LangFlow is using. So it has an OpenAI. The content that will fade inside. So right now you can see this is what the raw API supports of every providers. Like if you go to OpenAI or an Anthropic, their API, what does their API support? They support an API on a message where you send an array of messages and a system instruction. And this is what that. So you can see this. This is a like a output path. Chat from template is the part of a LangChain node, which will be fed into a chat OpenAI.
We are way out of your time. So let's take this entire observability and testability section as part of anyway it's part of one of our next sessions. Rather, let's go back to the LangFlow pipeline and let's take any Q&A if anyone has any doubts, anyone has any queries. Else we can close for today. Sure.